Hello friends, I'm Soni, your trainer for today's session. Up till now, we've done some parts of speech. We've covered nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, and today we'll do the next part of speech, adjectives. Let me tell you the objectives of today's session. First of all, we'll go ahead and define adjectives. What do we mean by an adjective? Then we'll talk about the different kinds of adjectives that we have. We'll also discuss the examples of each kind in detail. Then, as usual, we'll have an exercise, and this time I'll also give you a home assignment so that you make sure that when you go home, you need to go ahead, consult the workbook and do your home assignment. Towards the end of the session, we'll do a brief revision of the entire session. So let's start with the adjectives today. What is an adjective? An adjective is a word that is used to add something to the meaning of a noun. It is usually placed before a noun. By this definition we mean that adjective एक ऐसा word है जो नाउन के बारे में हमें और बताता है और जनरली हम इसे नाउन से पहले प्लेस करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मनोज is a naughty boy. Now Manoj is a boy, we know that, but the word naughty tells us something about Manoj, about his quality, what kind of boy he is. So the word naughty here is an adjective because it tells us something more about the noun, that is Manoj or the boy. Next example is, this doll is beautiful. Now which doll is beautiful? This doll. We'll do in detail why this is also an adjective when we'll do the different kinds of adjectives. Your parcel reached late. Whose parcel? Your parcel. It tells us more about the parcel. To whom did the parcel belong? It belonged to you. That's why your is also an adjective. That woman is staring at you. Which woman? That woman. So that becomes an adjective here. Anju hates spicy food. Now what is the quality of food? It's spicy. So the word spicy adds something or some meaning to the food. So out here, spicy becomes an adjective. Next, I gave her a red dress on her birthday. So what is the color of the dress? It's red. It tells us more about the dress. What kind of dress did you give? So the word red is an adjective. Payal received a beautiful gift from her mother. Now what was the quality of the gift Payal received? Or what type of gift did she get? It was beautiful. So the word beautiful tells us more about the gift and thus is an adjective. By now I hope you've got some picture or some clue as to what do we mean by an adjective. Let's now discuss the kinds of adjectives. Adjectives can broadly be classified into 6 kinds. The adjectives of quality, the adjective of quantity, numeral adjectives, demonstrative adjectives, interrogative adjectives, and possessive adjectives. I understand these are big words, but don't get worried because we will learn the definition of each with examples, and I'm sure towards the end of the session you would know what each kind of adjective means. So let's go ahead and start with the adjectives of quality. The adjective of quality is an adjective which tells us of what kind a person or a thing is. It tells us about the quality of that product or of that object. The adjective of quality answers the question of what kind. So if I give you a sentence and I ask you to pick up the adjective of quality from the sentence, just ask this question to yourself, of what kind? Read the sentence, ask this question, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me what is the adjective in the sentence. Let's discuss a few examples. Ashoka was a brave king. We've all heard about this king. He was a brave king. So ask this question, of what kind? What kind of king he was? And you will get the answer as brave. So brave here becomes the adjective of quality. Next, it was a sunny day. Again ask this question, what kind of day it was? It was a sunny day. So sunny becomes the adjective of quality. Good. Next, Ramya is a selfish girl. Now think, what do you think could be the adjective? It is right. I heard selfish. So selfish is right. Ramya is a selfish girl. The word selfish tells you about the property or the quality of the girl. Next, Chandigarh is a beautiful city. What kind of city is Chandigarh? It is a beautiful city. So again, in this case, the word beautiful denotes an adjective of quality. So the adjectives brave, sunny, selfish, beautiful, they all tell us of what kind a person or a thing is. So I'm sure now if I give you a sentence and I ask you to pick up the adjective of quality, it would not be difficult for you because all you need to do is ask the question of what kind and you'll get the answer. So let's go ahead and do the second type of adjectives, that is the adjectives of quantity. An adjective which tells us how much of a thing is meant is called an adjective of quantity. In other words, it tells you about the amount of a thing. कितनी है वो चीज़? कोई भी चीज़ आप लो, कितनी क्वांटिटी में है, कितनी मात्रा में है वो. That is what we mean by the adjective of quantity. So the adjectives of quantity answer the question how much. Like in case of adjectives of quality, what did they answer? Yeah, or what kind. Similarly, adjectives of quantity Answer how much or how many. Let's discuss some examples of adjectives of quantity. He had some money. What do you think? How much money he had? He had some, little bit, some money. So the word some tells you about the quantity of money he had. Thereby, some becomes the adjective of quantity. Next, he wants some water. A similar sentence. So you should be able to pick out the adjective now. What do you think is the adjective in this sentence? Some. Wonderful. Some is the adjective of quantity here. Next, she had little milk. How much milk she had? Just a little. Ask this question, how much, and you'll get the answer. That answer would be the adjective of quantity. So she had little milk. Little becomes the adjective. Next, Raju ate the whole cake. Now Raju ate how much cake? The whole cake. So whole becomes the adjective of quantity. Now the adjectives some, little, whole, a lot, they tell us about the quantity of a thing, and thus we call them as adjectives of quantity. Let's move on to the next type of adjectives called as numeral adjectives. Now the word numeral, what do you think about this word? It tells you something related to a number. Numeral, something related to a number. An adjective which tells us how many people or things are meant is called a numeral adjective. You can count these things. It's quite similar to the adjective of quantity, but it's just that in case of numeral adjectives, you can assign a definite number to the things. Let's take some examples. All men are mortal. How many men are mortal? All men are mortal. So all becomes the numeral adjective. Some people are rich. Now you mean to say not all but only some. How many? Some. So some becomes the numeral adjective. Another example, he had $10 in his pocket. You can actually count the number of dollars he had in his pocket. So you can answer the question how many, and the answer is 10. So 10 becomes the numeral adjective. Next, I want 1 glass of water. So how many glasses do you want? Just 1. So in this case, 1 is the numeral adjective because it represents a number. It represents how many glasses do you want. So up till now we've discussed 3 types of adjectives. Adjective of quality, which tells you of what kind. Adjective of quantity, which tells you how much. And numeral adjective, which tells you how many. Let's move on to the next kind of adjective, the demonstrative adjective. An adjective which is used to point out some person or thing is called a demonstrative adjective. It answers the question which, कौन सा. which tells you ye wala. So this kind of adjective is called a demonstrative adjective. Let's go ahead and understand it with the help of some examples. That book is mine. Which book is yours? That book. So that becomes the demonstrative adjective, which tells you about kaun si book, that book. Next, I hate such people. Which kind of people do you hate? Such people. So such becomes the demonstrative adjective. Next, I like these carpets. Which carpets are you talking about? These carpets. So these here becomes the demonstrative adjective. I want those books. Again, the question is which books? Those books. So those becomes a demonstrative adjective. Now the adjectives such as that, such, these, those, they point out which person or which things and are grouped under demonstrative adjectives. Let's move on to the next type of adjectives, which are called as interrogative adjectives. An adjective which is used with a noun and asks a question is called an interrogative adjective. So we all know what does interrogative means, to inquire or to ask. So obviously an interrogative adjective will have to do something about asking or about questioning. Let's take some examples. What color is your mobile phone? Now you want to know the color of the mobile phone. What color is it? So out here, what? The word what becomes the interrogative adjective. Next, which pen is yours? Again, out of couple of pens that you have, you're asking a question that out of these, which one is yours? So which becomes the interrogative adjective. Whose purse is this? You found a lost property. You found a purse and you ask people, whose purse is this? So whose becomes an interrogative adjective. So in the above sentences, what, which, whose are used with nouns to ask questions and thus are grouped under interrogative adjectives. Let's move on to the next kind of adjectives, which are called possessive adjectives. An adjective that shows possession or belonging is called a possessive adjective. They answer the question whose. They tell you kiska. So such kind of adjectives are called possessive adjectives. Let's see some examples. This is my seat. I told you they answer the question whose. So kiski seat hai ye? It's my seat. So my here becomes the adjective, the possessive adjective. That is your mistake. Whose mistake? Your mistake. So your becomes the possessive adjective. Her umbrella is not here. Whose umbrella is not here? Her. Her here becomes the possessive adjective. That's not my responsibility. That's not my. So you're answering the question whose. my becomes the possessive adjective. So in the above sentences, my, your, her have been used as possessive adjectives, which tell you about the sense of belonging or responsibility. We've done the types of adjectives. Let us go ahead and do some exercises. So let's start with the exercise. Open your workbook to the page where you have the exercise on adjectives. I'll say the sentence and you need to pick out the adjectives from the sentence. If you have any doubts, you've taken notes, go back, refer to your notes and check what could be the adjective in the sentences that I just say. So let's start with the exercise. The first sentence. Tej threw the red ball at his dog. I repeat, Tej threw the red ball at his dog. Now you have this sentence, go through the sentence, check what could be the adjective. Next, camphor is a volatile substance. Camphor is a volatile substance. Next, Sita gave some food to the orphan. Sita gave some food to the orphan. Next, the two teams have not met yet. The two teams have not met yet. Next, the tall man thought he could reach the top shelf of the bookcase. It's a long sentence. The tall man thought he could reach the top shelf of the bookcase. You need to pick out the adjective. There may be one adjective or more than one in a sentence. Next, I hate such people. I hate such people. Let's get started with the solutions. Sentence number 1 was, Tej threw the red ball at his dog. Now what kind of ball did he throw? What was the type of the ball or the quality of the ball or any other feature of the ball? It is the red ball. So the word red tells you about the quality or the feature of the ball. So it becomes an adjective. And this would be the adjective of which kind of adjective? Right, it would be the adjective of quality. So in the first sentence, Tej threw the red ball at his dog. The word red is the adjective. Next, camphor is a volatile substance. Again, ask certain questions. What kind of substance is camphor? It is a volatile, that is the quality of camphor. So volatile is the adjective of quality in this sentence. Next, Sita gave some food to the orphan. Now if you ask the question of what kind, you will not get an answer because we have not described the quality of food Sita gave. But what is described is the amount or the quantity of food she gave. So the question you need to ask yourself is, how much food did she give? And the answer you get is some. So in the sentence, Sita gave some food to the orphan, the word some is the adjective of quantity. Next, The two teams have not met yet. If you ask about what is the quality of the team, do you get an answer? No, because there is no feature or quality of the team that is specified. Then ask the question, how many teams? Do you get an answer this time? Yes, there are two teams. So the adjective here is two. And what kind of adjective? Come on, refer back to your notes and check which all adjectives we've done. It is the numeral adjective because it gives you a number and it tells you about how many. Next, the tall man thought he could reach the top shelf of the bookcase. I told you, I gave you a hint that it's a long sentence, so it could have had more than one adjective. The tall man thought he could reach the top shelf of the bookcase. Now out here, if you ask the question, how much, do you get an answer or how many? Is there any quantity or amount specified? No. Then what is specified? The height of the man, the quality of the man, that he is tall. So out here, tall is one adjective which gives you an indication or quality of the man. It becomes the adjective of quality. The other adjective which you have in this sentence is top shelf, which tells you about which shelf, the top one, the topmost shelf. So top here again is also an adjective. Next, I hate such people. What kind of people do you hate? Such kind. You may be referring to a particular kind. So in this sentence, the word such becomes the adjective. And what do you think? Which kind of adjective? Is it the adjective of quantity or numeral adjective? No, it is the adjective of quality, which tells you the type of people you hate. So I hope after this exercise, the concept of adjectives has become quite clear in your minds. So let's go ahead and do another exercise just to check our understanding of adjectives. I'll read out some sentences and you need to pick out the correct option. You need to fill the blank with the correct option. So let's get started with the exercise. I'll read out the first sentence. I had a dash cold yesterday. I had a dash cold yesterday. Now the two adjectives which you have are bad or poor. Next sentence. The child is very dash. The options are cute or cuter. Next, the soup tasted dash. Is it sorrowful or sour? Next, after recovering from viral fever, I felt very dash. Now the options that you have are, I'll spell them for you this time. W-E-E-K, weak. And second one is W-E-A-K, weak. The same pronunciation. So this was the exercise. And let's go ahead and check the solution to the exercise. I hope you all have attempted the exercise religiously without discussing it with your friends. So let's check the solutions. The first sentence, I had a dash cold yesterday. The options given were bad or poor. What do you think? Do you get a bad cold or a poor? Poor is gareeb. Do you get a gareeb cold? No, you get a bad cold, which is not good. It's a bad cold. So the correct option was bad, and the sentence becomes, I had a bad cold yesterday. Next, the child is very dash. The child is very dash. The options you have are cute or cuter. What do you think? Have you ever heard someone say the child is very cuter? No, it does not make any sense. So the correct option is cute. The child is very cute. And as it is, you are not making a comparison between two different children. It's just one, a single child who is very cute. The next sentence. The soup tasted dash. The options you have sorrowful or sour. Now what does sorrowful mean? Something related to your sadness, dukh se related. How can a soup be related to a sadness? Or how can a soup be related to some kind of sorrow? That makes no sense. So the soup tasted sour. It was not sorrowful but sour. Next, after recovering from viral fever, I felt very dash. Now both the words are pronounced the same way, but the spelling makes all the difference. The word week means the week in a month that you have, which you call hafta. You have 4 weeks in a month, that is week. And the word weak means kamzor. So obviously, once you get viral fever, you feel weak, kamzor, not week, but the correct option is weak, good. Now today we did about adjectives, what is an adjective, the different kinds of adjectives, and yes, exercises as well. So let's do a brief recap of the session so that if you've not understood at any point of time, we'll revise it. We started with the definition of an adjective. Now what is an adjective? An adjective is a word which adds something more to the meaning of a noun. Like he is a tall boy. The noun here is boy, but the adjective is tall. The word tall tells you more about the boy. It tells you about the quality of the boy, that he is tall. So such kind of words are called adjectives. We then discussed the different kinds of adjectives. First one was the adjective of quality, then adjective of quantity, the numeral adjectives, the demonstrative adjectives, possessive and interrogative adjectives. We'll start with the adjectives of quality. Now the adjectives of quality answer the question of what kind or of what quality or what are the features. For example, Delhi is a big city. So which is that word which answers the question what kind? It is big. Because if I ask you what kind of a city is Delhi, you will say it is a big city. So the word big becomes the adjective of quality. Next we did was adjectives of quantity. The word quantity means the amount or how much. So the adjectives of quantity answer the question how much. For example, let's go and have some chaat. So when you say let's go and have some chaat, how much chaat are you talking about? Some, little, some chaat. So some becomes the adjective of quantity. Next, what we did were numeral adjectives, which are quite similar to adjectives of quantity. Numeral adjectives tell you about how many. They specify a number most of the time. Sita has 2 elder sisters. How many sisters does Sita have? 2. So the word 2 becomes the numeral adjective. Next type of adjective that we did were demonstrative adjectives. They answer the question which. For example, this book is very interesting to read. You ask, which book are you talking about? This book. So the word this answers the question which. This becomes a demonstrative adjective. Next, what we discussed were interrogative adjectives. They are used to ask a question. For example, when is your birthday? So the word when, you're asking about the time. When, which date? So when becomes the interrogative adjective. Whose pen is this? Whose becomes the interrogative adjective because it's asking a question. You're asking someone, to whom does this pen belong? Whose becomes the adjective in this case. And last of all, we discussed about the possessive adjectives. The possessive adjectives answer the question whose. For example, this is my shirt. It's telling you whose shirt are you talking about. You're talking about my shirt. The word my becomes the possessive adjective. Possessive adjectives tell you about the possession of a thing. Who possesses the thing you're talking about? Okay. Next you can say is, that is your responsibility. Again the question is, whose responsibility? Your responsibility. So the word your becomes the possessive adjective. This was all about adjectives. We will discuss more of adjectives in the next session. So I hope you enjoyed this session and you learned a lot about adjectives, the different kind of adjectives. And don't forget to study from your workbook, to go home, practice and try and use these adjectives in your day-to-day life. So until next session, goodbye and happy learning.